What's up, you guys? Forrest here with the FoCo Flow Show. If you're new to the channel, we're happy that you're here, talking about mountain biking and all things pertaining to Charlottesville and the awesome trails in our area. If you enjoyed the content, make sure you like and subscribe so you can see the new content. Today we're coming to you from FoCo's Bike Shop, where we are trying to replace a derailleur that I bashed on a rock about a week ago riding out there. We run into a little trouble, so again, true to form, as my friends know, FoCo's Bike Shop has a little bit of a checkered past in terms of how effectively we get bike repairs done. In fact, we're known for being 95% effective in getting your bike fixed 95% of the time. We guarantee it 95% of the time for sure. So we'll look at what went, well, it started off okay, so what went right and some things that I know to do when I'm replacing a derailleur, and then of course pointing out where we ran into some trouble and where we went wrong. So hopefully my mistakes will help you avoid the same fate, and you'll be able to have more success than me when you go to replace your derailleur. I know what I did wrong, I wasn't fully prepared, so we'll have a look at it. So if you're out there on the trail, make sure that you're having fun. If you're trying to replace your derailleur, watch some additional YouTube videos, including this one. But either way, make sure you get out there and find that flow. So here we are with the old derailleur still attached, trying to figure out just how bad the shifting is after bashing my derailleur on a rock.
Nope.
You can see it ain't doing a whole lot. It's not shifting the way it's supposed to. So a pro tip is if you bash your derailleur on a rock, it's going to be pretty obvious most of the time whether or not this is salvageable or whether it's time to replace a derailleur. In this case, you'll see it was time to replace a derailleur.
Yeah, it's not supposed to line up like that.
So step one is pretty easy. Get yourself a chain removal tool if you have one, or just find the quick link and use your hands. This tool is literally able to be done with one hand, so I highly recommend it. Pop that quick link and remove your chain. The next step is to shift to the smallest cog there on the rear, and then look for where the cable attaches with one bolt, and step 3 is to loosen and unbolt the cable from the actual derailleur. I recommend using a torque wrench as much as possible for all the work that you're going to do in the bike, because I've also managed to break bolts by over torquing or under torquing too fast. This one's a 4mm, needed to unbolt there. That torque wrench is about $45 on Amazon. It's done the job pretty darn well, so it should be an easy one. Just loosen the bolt, spin it out once it's hand loose, and then you can detach that cable. Step 4 is another fairly straightforward step where you need to unbolt with one bolt using that torque wrench, the bolt that holds the derailleur into the derailleur hanger that connects to your bike. So it's just that one bolt that you're loosening here, nice and easy, until it completely detaches. And in this step, I still have the cable connected to the derailleur. You could actually do it the other way around if you wanted and take the cable end off that you see me looking at here, but in this case, this is our step 5, which is to remove that cable end. It's usually crimped. You can usually yank it straight off with a pair of pliers, but you want to be careful to try your best to keep the cable end unfrayed as much as possible, which I was only kind of successful in, which started to translate into some of the problems we ran into a little bit later. You can see here that the cable end is a little bit frayed, so with a little bit of grease you can try to tighten it back up, and then move to step 6, where we're going to try to remove the cable housing guide that you see where the derailleur is connected to. And this is where things got a little bit more interesting as you slide that off fairly easily. And then there's this other dongle piece that did not slide off nearly as easily because it looks like upon impact there was some damage to the actual cable housing connector piece. I don't know what that piece is called, but it was bent and damaged, and this caused a little bit of an injury after I was able to slide the derailleur off. So you can see here with the derailleur removed that that little dongle that fits into the cable housing is damaged, and I just didn't have the forethought to have one of those handy, so I proceeded on hoping I could make the best of it, moving towards step number 7, where we get to unbox the new awesome derailleur. So step 8 is pretty straightforward as well. You find that same bolt similar to what we took off, put a little bit of grease onto that bolt there, and then use your torque wrench to bolt the derailleur itself back into the derailleur hanger where we removed it from the first one. So pretty straightforward there, just bolting it right in. You're looking at the derailleur hanger there. I was fairly confident that this was undamaged and unbent, but just note, if you get all of this done and you get this derailleur installed and it's still shifting pretty crummy, it might be an opportunity to check out that derailleur hanger. Your local bike shop might have a tool to straighten it, or they're pretty easy to replace as well. And so this is where things got a little bit interesting, because you can see that cable housing is pretty well damaged, and that little dongle that it fits into did not seat well. But you got to try to feed the cable through that, and then the dongle on the other side without fraying the cable. My cable frayed, and it got real interesting trying to bolt all of this together. I was ultimately successful, but we'll see how long it lasts. Since I didn't have the replacement part handy, I decided to move forward with step 10, which is rebolting that cable. You want to pull it tight and then screw that bolt right in with the cable fed through a little guide on the backside. So it's pretty easy to do, it's a little painstaking. Use your torque wrench, get it all torqued down. Once you get that step complete, you can move up to without the chain on and make sure that the derailleur is shifting all the way forward and back like you see here. That indicates it's operating correctly, and then it's time to move towards adjusting. It's a little hard to say here, but without adjusting the B-limit screw, the derailleur isn't able to get all the way past that large 46 tooth cog on the back. So we got to put our chain on here, and then we'll be able to talk quickly through the different screw adjustments on the derailleur once you have it installed. So we sped the video up here. I was able to get the chain on, and for some reason didn't get the video of it, but take my word for it, because once the chain's on, you can move to adjusting the derailleur so that it's shifting correctly. You basically have 3 things to look out for: the lower limit, the upper limit screw, and the B screw that you see pictured out here. And as you're working on your derailleur, the limit screws prevent the derailleur from going too far up into the spokes of your wheel, or preventing it from dumping out into the outside of your lower cog. For me, the trickiest part was the B limit screw, which creates the distance between the upper jockey wheel and the cassette. It has to be able to get out of the way so that it can install correctly and move all the way to that biggest cog. This is not the video to show you how to adjust all of that. There's plenty of those videos out there. This one is just showing you the final product, which was we were able to successfully get the derailleur shifting. I rode it yesterday and she's shifting pretty good. But where we fell short was that attachment into the derailleur that's bent and kinked, and that cable housing is not going to last long. I'm eventually going to have to take that to the actual local bike shop and get them to rerun a new cable and possibly new cable housing, because I did not have a replacement for that dongle. I'm a little bit impatient in that way, but for today, we got ourselves back on the trailer with a brand new derailleur, and now we got the opportunity to go out there and find that flow.